next sitting day. Call on Government Order of the Day number 3.
Land Transport and Road User Charges Legislation Amendment Bill, second reading.
Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Transport, I move that the Land Transport and Road User Charges Legislation Amendment Bill be now read a second time. I want to thank members of the Transport and Industrial Relations Committee for their work on the bill. The changes proposed in the bill allow for the fair and practical application of road user charges in a range of unusual circumstances. The bill will amend the Road User Charges Act 2012 and the Land Transport Act 1998. The Road User Charges Act 2012 provides for the regulation and administration of the collection of road user charges, or RUC, for the use of roads and road wear. The Land Transport Act 1998 provides for a range of functions relating to land transport, including the registration and licensing of vehicles. The main purpose of this bill is to address an anomaly for some vehicle owners who are required to purchase road user charges for their vehicle, but are unable to do so because their vehicle is not registered and not legally required to be. Its secondary purpose is to enable annual charges in lieu of road user charges to be collected through registration and licensing processes for vehicles which are exempt from RUC. The bill also makes other minor changes to the Road User Charges Act 2012. Vehicles that are exempt from registration, not required to be registered or operated under a trade plate in an unregistered state, are subject to road user charges unless they belong to a class of vehicle that makes them specifically exempt. However, it's not possible to issue road user charge licences to these vehicles because road user charge licences are linked to a vehicle's registration number. These kinds of unregistered vehicles make only limited use of roads, and it's not cost-effective to try to collect RUC for them. The Road User Charges Act 2012 will be amended to allow regulations that exempt unregistered vehicles from RUC. Other classes of vehicles are exempt from RUC primarily because it's uneconomic to collect road user charges for these vehicles. Most of these vehicles also do very little travel on roads. However, some exempt vehicles, such as fast tractors, do a sufficient amount of travel on roads to cause road wear. So it is fair that their owners should make a contribution towards the cost that they impose. This bill allows for the collection of an annual charge in lieu of road user charges for these kinds of vehicles. By doing so, it allows for the fair and practical recovery of costs where collecting them through the normal process would be impractical or uneconomic. The bill also amends the Road User Charges Act 2012 to add offence provisions where light vehicles conditionally exempted from road user charges are operated in breach of those conditions. Finally, the bill contains amendments of a technical nature which support the policy aims behind road user charges and rationalise enforcement activity. These clarify that a person who has entered into an arrangement to pay overdue fees by instalment will not be subject to additional penalties, allow the road user charges collector to set a licence fee for one-off vehicles that are not covered by prescribed road user charges types, and make minor amendments that allow for the effective functioning of the road user charges system. The bill will need to be divided into two separate bills at the committee stage. The bill was referred to the Transport and Industrial Relations Committee in August 2013. The committee considered 5 submissions and heard from 3 submitters. The committee has recommended 3 minor changes to the bill. These changes are necessary to improve the application of the bill. Under the Road User Charges Act 2012, if a vehicle subject to RUC is used on a road without a valid distance licence or being registered under an alternative payment scheme, the only defence available to the operator is that they had a, quote, reasonable excuse, end quote, to do so. One submission noted that this creates the undesirable situation where an operator must go to court to demonstrate that they had that reasonable excuse. Although it's always open to an enforcement officer to accept an excuse as reasonable, there can be uncertainty where a vehicle subject to road user charges does not display the correct road user charges licence, but the licence displayed is one for which sufficient payment has been made to cover the charges that apply to the vehicle. Subsequently, the committee recommended a change to Clause 6A to give clearer guidance to operators and enforcement authorities as to what circumstances could constitute a reasonable excuse. The amendment provides guidance to operators and enforcement authorities as to a particular circumstance that might constitute a reasonable excuse, without otherwise altering the effect of the provision. The second amendment the committee recommended relates to Clause 8, with a new section 12A2E to remove reference to the operator providing information to the regulator after the, quote, completion of the operation of the vehicle concerned, end quote. This amendment reflects the intention of the clause, which is to provide correct information, and the intention of the bill that requires information to be provided as soon as practical once it becomes available. The amendment enables simpler compliance for a small number of operators. Lastly, the committee recommends inserting the word user into section 57(1)(a) of the Road User Charges Act 2012. This would change the phrase unpaid road charges to unpaid road user charges, making the Road User Charges Act clearer and more consistent. Mr. Speaker, the proposed changes allow for the fair and practical application of road user charges in a range of unusual circumstances, and I commend it to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Darian Fenton.
Thank you.